Hello guys, Moldran here, and today I'm going to talk a bit about economics, basically investing in Diablo 3. And what brings me to this topic? Last night or this night, Blizzard announced basically in the blue box that they're going to buff Brimstones. It's something that I didn't expect, but something that I initially had to take action on. If Blizzard makes a blue box today or says publicly that they're gonna buff something, especially if it's Brimstones, you can expect that the price is gonna go up a lot because now many people are gonna buy them, and yeah, the price will naturally go up. So what I did at night, I purchased 20,000 Brimstones they were 12k gold each back then, and when I checked 2 hours ago, they were already at 40k gold, and the prices continue to go up and up. I don't know when the peak is reached, but if you do such a thing, you need to be really careful with what you're doing. And yeah, another thing that's important here is when you do this, you also have to consider that Brimstones aren't just Brimstones, you get them from legendaries. So what I also did, and what also many other people did, is we just purchased all the legendaries that were worth less than the Brimstones. So at 5 a.m. or whenever this was, the legendaries, like level 60 legendaries, were up for 10, 15k, 20k gold. And of course you buy them because now it's already 50k gold and you can initially resell them. And yeah, here you can see the blue burst. That's like 6 hours old at this time. And basically Lilira, the community manager, said, "We are also exploring ways to improve the worth of Brimstone as well as crafting in general." And that was the breaking point that caused thousands of people to invest into Brimstones because they think they can either resell them or they can just use them for crafting later and get some sick legendaries and so on. So this message is gonna continue to reach more players, and prices are gonna go up until we reach a peak, and then it's the time for me at least to sell and make profit, to cash out, I'd call it. I invested something like 20k times 12k gold is 240k gold, and I can get, if I sell it for 100k gold each, I can almost get 2 billion. And yeah, that's a pretty good deal. And what you can see here, this is basically d3rmt.com, the Brimstone price tracker, Europe. And what you can see here, the price used to be 100k gold in late August, then it dropped a bit, or then it dropped significantly here, then it remained steady, then there was another significant drop. I think that was when the duping was going on. So of course the Brimstone prices, just that the gem prices dropped as well. And you can see them go down all the way to 6k, 6.5k. Then they slightly went up again, and yeah, now they are here. Just so you know, it's not updated yet, but now they're here. And the important thing is, people ask me, why didn't I invest when it was 6k gold? Well, the thing is, when it was 6k gold, I didn't believe the Brimstones get buffed or useful in the future. I actually believe that Brimstone's gonna be worthless, and there might be, if crafting gets buffed, there might be new currency instead of Brimstones. But yeah, some people invested here, but that was a significantly higher risk than the risk that I had, because I invested after the blue bust, and then it was sure that the prices go up. If you invest here, it could be that prices go up and then you make a lot of profit, or it could be that they go down. And people, for example, that invested here, they make a lot more profit than I do because they purchase it at half of the price. So if we both invested the same amount of gold, they make like twice the amount of profit. And yeah, something also about shares. It's always about, you need to estimate, or you need to have a feeling that the price is gonna go up in the future or is valuable. And just an example from real life. Probably many of you guys already have or know those devices. In my university, there was a survey once, and I think 73.40% of all people use at least one of those products. I'm gonna mention the manufacturer, but yeah. And here you can see the shares of the manufacturer. So if you invested into him 10 years ago, imagine how much money you would have made now in real life. But yeah, it was just showing you a short similarity to real life. But basically the same happens in Diablo 3. If you invest at the right time, you can make a lot of profit. And yeah, another thing that I wanted to show is the so-called investment matrix that comes from real life, but I just related it to Diablo 3. And yeah, basically with investments, there are two deciding factors. Risk, if it's low risk or high risk, and return, like the return on investment, what you get out of it. And in Diablo 3, for example, or in general, most things are going to be high risk and high return, and also low risk and low return. For example, for high risk and high return, very high risk, but also high return is investing into PvP gear. Now, this has very high risk because no one of us knows exactly how this is going to be, what gear is going to be good in PvP, if the PvE gear is going to be used there, or if there's a new PvP gear. We don't know it, but some people, I think even Athene, they did some investments in regards to PvP. For example, I think Athene and some others invested into the old Legacy Natalia set, thinking that it would be really good because of the discipline regeneration. But yeah, that's something that's really high risk, and you should only try this if you are really sure or if you really think that something's going to be really good in PvP. Yeah, another high risk is, of course, investing into gems and brimstones. Now, let's compare those two. Investing into brimstones, the brimstone price like long ago was low, and then Blizzard announced the legendary patch where they made many legendaries stronger, even the crafted ones. And then the brimstone price skyrocketed. So that was a sign, like I made a lot of profit back then, but to all others that didn't know it back then, it was a sign for them, okay, you can actually make a lot of money with investing. I'm gonna do this in the future. Next thing that happened was the duping. And this is where the gems come into play. A Radiant Star gem costs around, let's say, 20 million gold to craft. They were up on the auction house for 3 to 5 million gold. Some people invested. They were like just saying, okay, this costs 20 million gold to craft. It's listed for 5 million. I'm just gonna purchase as many as I can afford, and I'm gonna resell them when the price goes up. Personally, I didn't make a lot of money with gems because I expected the price to go further down. So I sold my gems too early because I thought the price would go further down, and yeah, it's something that's why it's high risk. If I would have made the right decision, I would have a lot more gold now, but I thought the price would go down, and yeah. But some other people were right, and you know, that's how investing is. And now we are at the Brimstone situation. Now, this is pretty, it's something between high risk and low risk. I mean, Brimstone's investing was very high risk, or used to be very high risk, for example, 1 week ago, when the prices were at 6k gold, because you didn't know if Brimstone's ever going to be good again. But right now, it's, I would say, almost to low risk, because of what previously happened with Brimstones, with the legendary patch, price already went up, and now it's basically the same thing. So I think I would say it's mid-risk right now, because you never know when the peak is reached. Like, when should you sell those Brimstones? For example, if you invested when they were 20k gold. That's why you need to do a lot of research on all 3 different markets. For example, the gem prices, they first went up in the US, and then 2 or 3 days later in Europe. I think the reason for this is because in the USA, Blizzard is more active, and if they change something, they do it first in the US and then 1 or 2 days later in the EU. So maybe they fix the gem dupe first in the US and then 2 days later in the EU, and that's what causes the difference in the price increase. But yeah, for example, if I see the Brimstone price dropping in the US, I expect, okay, 1 day later it's probably going to drop in the EU as well. Now's the time to sell. But yeah, there's also high risk and low return. It used to be a really good method before the patch, but now using the auction house has become a lot more easy and simple. So it's not that big potential for return anymore, but it's still a high risk because you never know how active the community is going to be, how active the auction house is going to be, and if your items are going to sell. Yeah, low return, low risk is if you just invest in the new gear to farm a bit faster. Let's say you farm 10% faster, but also the return is pretty low because if farming generally isn't the best method to acquire the best gear and become rich in Diablo 3. And then you also have high return, low risk. Usually there isn't anything there, but in Diablo 3 I would say maybe the Chinese gold companies could be there because they are so big that whatever they are doing, they're gonna make a profit because they are so big that they have extreme influence on the market. And what also could enter here is like Warren Buffett in real life. Individuals in Diablo 3 that are really good at playing the auction house are really good at investing and always tend to make the right decisions. But yeah, that was the investment metrics. And finally, I want to summarize what I just talked about. Investing, in my opinion, in Diablo 3 is the number one, the best way to make money or gold. Like, let's say the best legitimate way. Because, you know, there's always maybe some botters or dupers and no one can compete with them. But yeah, the advantages, of course, main advantage is there's no time required to do this. If you, for example, I read the blue busts in 30 seconds and then I logged on, I purchased the brimstones in, let's say, 30 seconds as well, and then I spent 5 to 10 minutes to just buy out the cheap legendaries for 10k, 15k, 20k. The price went up when I bought them, and yeah. So in 5 minutes I did this and I can get 2 billion profit. If everything goes right, I made 2 billion profit in 5 minutes. Now imagine how long do you have to farm to make similar profit, or how long do you have to play the auction house even to make similar profit? A lot longer. And yeah, second advantage is, of course, it's a lot of money potential. For example, I make 2 billion. If I would have invested more, which I could have, but I'm like in the position where I want to upgrade my gear for PvP, so I'm saving a lot of money as well. I always want to have some money. But yeah, if someone has like 5 billion, you could have invested 5 billion and then, let's say, get 20 billion out of it. Yeah, then something that's neither positive or negative, like some neutral point, is the effectiveness of investing depends directly on your capital. So this means if you have 10 million gold, you could invest all into brimstones and you could end up at 30 million gold. But I mean, that's really good, that's a nice achievement. So it works for everyone, no matter how much capital you have. But if someone with, let's say, 1 billion invests, he's gonna have 30 billion profit, or let's say 3 billion, sorry. And it's basically 20 million versus 2 billion profit, just because the other guy that did the same as you did had a higher capital. But yeah. And the negative point, of course, is the risk involved. You never know 100% exactly how things gonna turn out, but I think that's the interesting point to, like, there's always, you feel a bit, okay, is the price gonna go up, is the price gonna go down? Yeah, I kind of like the feeling, but yeah, of course, not all the things go right. For example, I lost some potential money with gems. I could have made a lot more, but I didn't foresee. But on the other hand, with brimstones before, I made a lot of gold. So yeah, it evens out, and you just need to make sure that more of your investments are positive than you have negative ones. So yeah, that was my video about investing in Diablo 3. Maybe it's a strategy that you want to do, or should at least keep in mind if such a situation, there aren't many of them, but if one appears, that you are there right at the right time, at the right place, and you invest and maybe make a lot of gold without spending a lot of time. See you guys next time. I'll be back.